Shabbat Shalom. At the beginning of Genesis, when we first start the Torah, we saw that God creates each day something new, and at the end of each day, God reflects on God's creation, and God mostly says it was tov. It was tov, it was tov, it was tov, it was tov ma'od, it was tov, meaning it was good, it was good, it was good, it was very good, it was good. And we see that everything that God creates is really good and very good. And then all of a sudden, in that very first book, in the first Torah portion of Bereshit, we see, after hearing it was good, it was good, it was good, it was very good, it was good, it was good, that God looks down upon God's creation, Adam, in the Garden of Eden, and God says, Lo tov. It's not good. So what was Lo tov to God? Well, it was Adam who is all by himself, with a lot of animals and a lot of vegetation, yes, but without a ezer kenegdo, without a loving partner or loving companion. And so when God looked over Adam, God realized it's Lo tov, it's not good for a human being to be alone. So I want to fast forward to this week's Torah portion of Yitro, and we hear those words, Lo tov, not good, all over again. But this time it's not God who's saying this thing is Lo tov, this thing is not good. It's in fact Yitro who's saying this thing is not good. So let's talk about where Yitro comes in. Yitro is Moshe's father-in-law. So Moshe is married to Tzipporah, Yitro's daughter. Yitro comes, he's heard all of the amazing things that have happened to the Jewish people, to the Israelites, and he goes to meet them to see Moshe. And by the way, he's going to bring Tzipporah and his two grandsons back to their husband and dad. So everything seems to be going well. The two men catch up, they kiss each other, there's a ton of love exchanged between them. And then Yitro gets up the next day, he sees Moshe busy at work, and he looks at him and he says to him, wow, you are really busy. And that thing that you're doing, meaning working all the time from morning until night with no one else to help you, that thing is Lo tov, it's not good. So what is the similarity between these two moments where God looks down and says to Adam, Lo tov, and then in this week's parsha, where we see Yitro saying to Moshe, it's Lo tov, it's not good. And I think Joanne's raising her hand. Sure, Joanne.
Are we allowed to talk?
Yeah, sure.
God is seeing Adam alone.
Yeah.
Alone. And Yitro seeing Moses doing it alone because Moses hasn't involved the rest of his community.
Yes.
Leadership with him.
Go, Joanne. All right, let's hear it for Joanne. So actually, Joanne, that's exactly right. And it's very interesting to me that these two moments that are deemed Lo tov, not good, are two moments where human beings are trying to go at life alone. And so I think right there I could stop, drop the mic, and we can all think about that for the weekend and think of, like, where in my life am I trying to do life alone? Where might I be better served to include other people, to connect with other people, to be a part of a community? But where I want to go is slightly different, so come with me. So I thought about this a lot, actually, this idea of what it means to be alone and to endure life alone. Way back after October 7th, when I saw what was starting to happen on college campuses, which, by the way, started way before October 7th. It was just that many of us not on college campuses were somewhat blind to what was happening. So I started to think about this idea of how alone a lot of our Jewish students on campuses across the country must have felt. And I also started to think that, like, maybe we hadn't prepared, actually I'm going to take out the maybe, we had not prepared our college-age students for what they had to face. Now, I made a video. Some of you may have seen it. We sent it out to our college kids, and basically what I said is, I'm so sorry, I feel like we didn't prepare you for this moment in time. And as I was saying that, I was also thinking to myself, we didn't prepare you for this moment in time because we never could have imagined this moment in time. But I wanted them to know that they weren't alone. Because being alone is really hard, and what we know from this week's Torah portion and from Genesis is it's also lo tov, it's not good. I didn't want them to feel alone. So I want to fast forward. Spend a lot of time thinking about that. How do we equip our children, knowing what we now know, for what's happening in our world and on college campuses today? It's an important question that we should all be thinking about, right? Children, grandchildren, how do we prepare our collective community for what we are facing right now? So I went to the religious school. I was going to talk with a group of parents, about 15 parents, with Sarah Shapiro, our social worker at Bethel, about how do we talk to our kids about what's going on in the world today. That was the topic. They showed up, to their credit. We go and we sit, we start talking about how we talk about all of the things happening in our world today with children. And the first parent says, I really appreciate all of the things that you're sharing, but my child has a lot of anxiety. And then the next person said, I also appreciate it, but my child is also very anxious. And then the next person, very anxious, very anxious, very anxious, very anxious. So please, if you could not talk about the war and not talk about hostages and not talk about the situation, that would be best. And if you do, can you please send us an email in advance, and then we won't send our kids to Hebrew school that day. Now, I want to actually say this is very complicated, right? Because what you want to do is say like, but really what they're saying is true, that a lot of children really do have anxiety. That is real. And what they're saying is that they don't think that their kids can actually cope or handle knowing what's happening in our world. Okay, pause it there, put a pin in that. I'm going to take you to the next frame of my story. The next frame of the story is this. A few weeks pass, I'm in with Cantor Platt, we're leading a service on a Sunday morning. It's the 100th day of the war, or 100th day of those 136 people now being held in captivity. And we start to say prayers in a very general way so that we don't make anyone feel uncomfortable. And the prayers that we teach is Achenu, that it's for the captives. But the way that we talk about it is that like everybody should be free, right? We're trying to really like keep this feeling safe for everyone. So we teach the Achenu prayer, and then one of the kids in like row 10 raises her hand and she says to me, Rabbi, is it true that we started all of this? And then she says, is it all our fault? Because my very good friend is from Afghanistan, and she said that it is our fault. And so I said to her, no, that is not true. On October 7th, and then I put it into like very appropriate language, and said there was an attack on October 7th. It was very, 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 very bad. And Israel had to respond to the people that came to do terrible things in order to protect the people of Israel and the place of Israel, and to make sure that that never happened again. And then I said, let's pause for a minute there. And then I turned to the whole community and I said, these are like 100, however many children, 150 children. And I said, I want to ask you all though, has anyone else heard someone say that to them? That this is their fault or our fault or the Jewish people's fault? I would say something close to 90% of the children raised their hands. So on one hand, we have a complicated situation, right? We don't want our kids to go into the world unprepared to respond. Yet we also recognize that many of our kids have, vulnerabilities and might not have the resilience yet that they need to face whatever's coming our way. And then we also know that the world has a lot to say right now. And so what I want to say, as I try to still continue to work this through, and I hope that you will join me in doing that, is that my biggest fear is that if we don't talk about this as a community, that each child and each person, whether they're on a college campus or whether they're in a 5th grade or 8th grade classroom, is going to feel like they have to navigate the complicated days of the war alone. And I want to really heed God's word and also Yitro's words, that it's lo tov, it's not good for any of us to do anything while we feel alone. And we can endure and we can do hard things. As long as we've got each other, as long as we know that we are a part of an extraordinary and amazing tribe, and as long as we feel proud to not only be Jews, but to be Zionists and to be a part of this incredible community. And if we stick together and stay strong and stay proud, we really can do anything. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.